Behind door number 16 on the Blues advent calendar is Rafa Benitez Toffees. Former boss here himself, of course, he brings his Everton side to Stamford Bridge as the festive football continues in the Premier League. Chelsea-Everton at 7:45 this evening. Hello and welcome to Matchday Live. Very excited for tonight as well. Chelsea-Everton back in Premier League business in the company of Sam and Pat. Boys, are we good?
All good, all good, all good. I'm excited. I'm excited.
I was going to say, Pat, I'm going to come to you in a second because this is a Pat Nevin derby, of course. But Sam, it's nice to have football back. Obviously, it feels like we've got games every 3 or 4 days at the moment, so we can't reflect too long on the previous games, and it's going to be another test tonight. Yeah,
that's why I like it, and I really enjoy a midweek fixture. So, yeah, I'm excited about the game today. Under the lights,
Chelsea-Everton, Pat. It's a strange one for you, I'd imagine, mate.
Oh, it is. It's a game I generally don't like. I hate seeing Everton lose. I had a lot of nice years there, a lot of good friends there, but Chelsea's my team, so I want Chelsea to win. And I've never hidden that. I've never hidden that anyway. But it's painful to watch it, and it's particularly painful just now because Everton are having a tough time, and they've had a lot of players missing, and they've got a lot more missing tonight. So it's going to be tough for them. But we can't care about that. We need to go out there, do the job, and I think we are very, very capable of doing that. And there was a game here a little while ago where we'd done them. Was it 5-0?
4. Last one before COVID, wasn't it?
Well, hey, that was 4 going on 9. It really was. And if we play well tonight, we could really, we could actually do better than that team.
Oh, I do hope so, mate. I do hope so. Obviously, the weekend was quite a crazy game. Let's have a little look at the highlights from Chelsea-Leeds. Sam, it's one of those games that there's a lot of talk before the game. We did a lot of chat even on the show about, you know, the 1970 FA Cup final and the rivalry over the years. Rarely does a game of football live up to its billing, but this one absolutely did.
Yeah, the atmosphere was absolutely crazy. It genuinely lived up to the expectation, but I think it was just all about winning, you know. I think, obviously, we can talk about the defending and us conceding goals again, but at the same time, like Mason Mount shushing the crowd, that moment was beautiful. Like, there were so many moments when Aspie came off as well, Rudiger at the end, that just made you understand the rivalry a bit more, and the fact that we got out on top is just even better.
Pat, it's definitely got a bit of bite about it, hasn't it? And I think there was a little bit of, I suppose, for the younger set of Chelsea fans, you know, Chelsea and Leeds haven't really come across each other the last 2 decades, really, you know, because of the difference in leagues and etc. So the fact that when they come up to the Premier League, there was a lot of talk about that rivalry reigniting. You've played in a few of them, I'm sure. It's still very much alive and kicking, quite literally.
There is no doubt about it. I mean, the Leeds fans will never forget. So they will bring it to every single game. But there's a lot of Chelsea fans of a certain age who will always love beating Leeds. And there is a certain tension. And people think some of the players there will know nothing about it. But when you feel that coming off the stands, it is wow, and it lifts you. It certainly lifted Leeds because they actually played well. And I think they left all their energy at Stamford Bridge for when they went up to play against Manchester City. Do you know the bit that gets me? Tony, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
I mean, really? What are you doing here? That's the centre forward's position, but you're holding the ball off, and he's incredible what he's doing for us. He gets the 2 penalties, and that last minute one's absolutely incredible. And it just showed that we kept on fighting back and fighting back. There's more than one way to win it, and to be fair, the pressure on that guy in penalty kicks is incredible now. And he just never seems phased. He'll not score every single penalty, but his numbers are still fantastic. And after scoring one beforehand, the pressure on you, last kick of the ball, it's a little easy, doesn't it?
There's no better way to win it, is there? And, you know, we saw the scenes at full time, like you already alluded to, Sam. Tony Rudiger there with the dance running along the bottom is so good. But obviously the defensive frailty, I suppose, is something, one way to word it. I mean, you look at this, last 5 games, all competitions, 10 goals conceded, 0 clean sheets. First 20 games in all competitions, 8 goals conceded, 12 clean sheets. Now, obviously, we've looked at the back 3 here and the tinkering and the lack of consistency we've been able to feel during that spell there. But I'd imagine, you know, it was a chat that we had off air and that you raised very, very rightly so, the central midfield area is very key to this.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily down to just the defence. It's, like Tuchel says, it's the whole team that defends, and us losing the likes of Kanté, Kovacic, world-class in their position. Even Jorginho playing at 75% is going to have an impact. And it's not taking away anything from Loftus-Cheek or Barkley or Mount or even James, who's done a job in the midfield. But those players are so good at what they do, so when they are out the team, you're definitely going to feel it. But I think the people that have replaced them have definitely done a good job and hopefully prove it again today.
Absolutely, you can see the players here arriving. Obviously, all the additional COVID protocols that have come into to place, and all the red bubbling, etc., and masks and as such. And well, let's find out the team news that Thomas Tuchel has selected for tonight. Then in goal, Edouard Mendy, a back three of Cesar Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, and Antonio Rudiger. On the left-hand side, Marcos Alonso. On the right-hand side is Reece James. A midfield two of Jorginho and Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and a front three of Hakim Ziyech, Christian Pulisic, and Mason Mount. On the bench tonight, Kepa Arrizabalaga, Bettinelli, Christensen, Kanté, Chalobah, really nice to see him back on the bench, Saul, Barkley and Malang Sarr as well. Pat, any surprises for you there, mate?
Do you know what? I'm really quite amazed that we've got that strong a team, considering what COVID's been doing to a lot of the squads just now. That's a very strong-looking 11 with lots of options from the best. So I'm absolutely and utterly delighted for that. I thought there would have to be a lot of mixing and matching and playing one or two players out of position, but we've managed to get that. And it's good when you've got players who are adaptable. I mean, Christian Pulisic can play as a 9, he can play as a 10, he can play off the 6 and the 8. So there's a lot of players that can adapt in that squad there, but that looks really strong to me. And I think when the Chelsea fans see that, they'll just think, yeah, that'll do for us. As long as everyone's up for it. The one thing I would like to see, get back to your point, I think we need to hold the ball just that wee bit better. We've not been holding it. We're used to 70% possession. When we have 70% possession, others suffer. When we've not got it, we suffer a little bit. I think certainly Thomas would tell these players, let's control this one. We're against a team who've got a lot of injuries and a lot of players injured. This is a game we should be able to do that.
It's a little bit of that, Sam, as well. Like Pat's alluded to, obviously, we've seen COVID cause such problems during the Premier League this week, and there's now more emphasis on if fixtures can be played. It's brilliant. You know, we're also very lucky that we are able to do that in a safe environment, a safe way, and the players are fit and well and healthy to fulfil fixtures. But there's also very much a point of, we've mentioned it countless times this season, about how big and good the squad is. There are a lot of teams that, when they aren't able to fulfil fixtures through no fault of their own, but there's going to be a backlog of games. So there's very much an emphasis of, like Pat said, the strength that we've been able to name aside. You know, players are unavailable for injuries and all sorts of reasons, but you add the complications of COVID that everyone in the league is feeling now. If you can fulfil fixtures and put out a strong squad like that, I mean, I'm sure that there's probably 90% of the rest of the Premier League that can't cope with it as well as we could if we've got those problems within the camp. Yeah,
definitely. And I think it's a credit to Tuchel as well, because he's trusted in a lot of players this season. We've seen he's rotated the midfield, rotated the wing-backs, the three up top, and even the defence as well. So even in positions like this, we're not necessarily surprised to see certain names. It's not like this is the first game in how many games. They've genuinely had minutes in the Premier League. They've had minutes in cups as well. So that will give us and fans like a lot of confidence to whatever team is going out there.
Yeah, no, really good point. And that's exactly it, isn't it, Pat? I suppose if you're a player, the perspective, like Sam's saying, if you've got minutes and you're not then thrust in and go, be ready. If you've played football and you've got to that level and everyone within the camp is feeling strong and fit and well and healthy and able to compete, you're not going in with ring rust as such.
Yeah, ring rust is one thing. There's another kind of slightly more subtle thing, which is, see, when you're playing quite a bit and you're in and out and you're pushing for a place, that's one thing, and you feel good, you're chasing. See, when you're used because there's nobody else left, that's a different thing. That's a psychological knockdown for you. Now, some players can react to that well and come back in and just fight for the place and show as much as possible. For some players, it knocks their confidence. The manager doesn't believe in me. I don't think there's anybody like that at Chelsea. I think because he's not just rotated it, but getting the best out of players and, you know, helping them improve, I don't think their players feel that way. So when Pulisic comes in after injuries but not getting in the team right away, it doesn't matter. He's starting tonight, and it's not because he won't think, you know, it's because there's no Romelu, or there's no Timo, or there's no whatever. He'll just think, actually, no, I deserve to be there. I've had my moments, and I can do something tonight. I'm looking forward to see Christian. With the Everton team, the way they're lining up tonight, they've got a few players missing, and it's a kind of mix and match for them. But they're not missing too much in defence, so it's going to be a tough time for, you know, not only Christian, but Mason as well. But then again, Mason's in quite good form, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think we trust him.
Absolutely right, mate. Absolutely right. Well, we've obviously got two more involved tonight. Ben Andrews and Jason Cundy up on the gantry. Boys, what have you made of the team news?
Good evening all. Pat just mentioning there that Everton haven't got too many out at the back. They haven't, but goodness me, it's not like they've been in form anyway. And looking at what they haven't got, Damari Gray and Andros Townsend, the two freebies they got basically that have actually been their only decent players, both out. Rondon, Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, all of their forward options. They've got a debutant in Ellis Sims up top with Branthwaite and Anthony Gordon. Yeah, they are struggling, and this is where we see the squad depth, isn't it, Jason? Because Thomas Tuchel has kept everyone bar 2 front players. Havertz and Werner, the 2 Germans, out. Ziyech and Pulisic in.
Yeah,
that's pretty good to have 9.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Benjamin. Yes, and this is where, you know, often injuries is something that we lean on when we talk about strength in depth, and not COVID, not at this stage of the season. And unfortunately, you know, no one really wins here. I know that we can look at their team and say, oh, honestly, there's a lot. This story has a long way to go, and unfortunately, there's another game that's been called off. But all we can do is deal with what we got in front of us today, and their side looks incredibly weak. Our side, really, other than the front line, hasn't changed a great deal, as the point you've alluded to there yourself. Maybe, of course, there's players missing in Golo. We've missed Cover, no question about it, Chilwell, 1 or 2 others as well. But largely, this is a game that you look at the teams, you think, 3 points, please. Let's just take them. Football don't work like that. And often when you see teams, their backs to the wall and they've got something to fight for, and maybe they feel a little bit hard done by with what's happened with COVID and maybe, you know, injuries. Maybe you'll see a different Everton. But really, in all honesty, look at those 2 teams. There should, Benjamin, be only 1 winner.
Yeah, just to go back on myself, even though I think this will be a very comfortable home win for us this evening. Leeds, you know, were missing the spine of their team captain, Cooper, Calvin Phillips and Patrick Bamford, and they were about 5 seconds away from getting a result here at the weekend. And N'Golo Kanté, by the way, just in case you missed that news, is back on the Chelsea bench tonight, so that is good news. He couldn't really have done a great deal else, just looking at who he's got on the bench. It's a smaller bench than usual, and Malang Sarr's on it, Sal's on it, and N'Golo, Andreas Christensen if he needs it. But I mean, Christian Pulisic's an interesting one. We'll come on to him more with the one to watch later. But just briefly, he gets a chance to be that, well, I guess the role Kai Havertz was performing with Lukaku out.
Chance is the word, Ben. That's it. Because he's been here a while now, and we're still looking for the Pulisic. We've seen glimpses of back end of last season, or the season before last, whenever it was now. Yes, it was the season before, when we got to the FA Cup final. And, of course, he pulled that hammy. And we're still looking to see the very, very best Pulisic. And tonight is a chance for him to shine.
It is. He's only started 3 matches all season before tonight, Christian Pulisic, so definitely one who'll be looking to make the most of it. And a word for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who's starting again. That is 5 out the last 6 matches he's started in central midfield. There's someone who is very much taking a chance. More from us later. Back to you.
Good work, boys. Brilliant as always. Let's get some social media reaction then straight away to the team news that has come out from Chelsea very recently. Ziyech, Pulisic and Mount. Well, that's definitely something. Erling Haaland is a king of memes, isn't he? He loves it. Pulisic as false 9. Let's feast. Yeah, absolutely. Pulisic as a false 9 will be... It's a new role, but it's one that we know he's very capable of doing, Sam. He's got all that about him. We've seen under Thomas Tuchel, he's played in that role prior.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what they were saying, Jason, Ben, this is the opportunity for him to almost not show what he's capable of, because we know what he's good at. We know he can score goals. We know he can take people on. But it's almost because he's had those injuries and he's had those setbacks, it's so hard to always come back from those recurring injuries. And now that something like this has happened where the forwards aren't in, this is the perfect time to show Tuchel. And Tuchel obviously knows, but he probably wants to see it on a more consistent basis that, yeah, I deserve to be in this team.
Absolutely right, and it's exactly that. You know, we keep talking about the opportunity, and Jason and Ben both said it as well. It's an opportunity for players to go, not only am I ready, but when you've got a full-strength side, this is my opportunity to tell you I should be the first name on a team sheet.
The amount of players that have done it for a period of time, but you have to keep on doing it. Remember, Mason was out for a while, but he comes back and he takes the chance. He absolutely grabs it, and that's what he's saying. And you don't miss that if you're a player in the team. Anybody else in the team, you're thinking, well, Mason wasn't playing for a little while there. He gets his chance, takes it, and he sticks. He absolutely sticks. So if you're Pulisic, you'll know if I go out there and score, and I score in the next one, and we're winning, you could have a £95 million centre forward ready to come back, but he has to wait. And everybody knows that there's an absolute honesty about the way Thomas Tuchel does it. If you're playing well, the only way he'll kick you out is not because of anyone else, it's because you need a rest. So, yeah, there's an opportunity for him. Kind of really do hope he takes it, because, as Jason was saying there, we have seen those glimpses of him. And there's been moments you think he could be one of the most special players in the world. He really could be. And then he gets injured, and it's not his fault, but I hope this is a good start for him. And even if he doesn't stick in that position, he just drops back one. that pace of his with running with the ball is fantastic. And by the way, let's count how many times he's kicked tonight. I mean, honestly, since Eden Hazard, have you seen anyone more kicked than him?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's true. It's very, very true. Don't forget, you can get play predictions in On Play Predictor on the Fifth Stand up until 5 minutes before kick-off. Some really cool prizes to win, not only each and every match day, but also at the end of every month, and a full season champion as well, with a very cool prize to be won. Boys, I'm going to start with you then, Pat. What's your score prediction?
I was going to go for 2-0 before, but 3 minimum. I actually think we should do them that well. 3, and I'm tempted to higher because I've watched Everton a lot, and apart from the Arsenal game recently, you've had a nightmare, and that's a really tough gig for them. So I'll stick with 3.
Yeah, 1 win in 10 for him, isn't it, in the Premier League? Sam, first goal scorer?
Mount. Got him in my fantasy as well, so I need that. I need that.
That doesn't usually end well for us, does it?
I shouldn't have said it as well. It's given my backfire. But I believe in him. He's been playing really well recently as well and getting on the...
What about for like possession then?
Possession, 70-30. We need to get back to that. Like Pat said, we need to get back to dominating the game, like drawing the energy from our opponents, not giving them any glimpses of playing through us, because we've seen that in the last few games, and it's something that we're used to as well. So yeah, 70-30.
So high possession, Mount first goal scorer. You've gone 3-0. What about total shots? What number are you looking at?
Shots might actually be slightly difficult because I suspect that they will play 5 at the back. We don't really know for sure yet, but the way they're set out, but they're going to be really tight at the back. There's no way they're going to come and attack us with that team. Rafa won't do that.
No.
So we might get shots on target. I wouldn't be surprised at between 15 and 20, but that'll be enough.
Yeah, absolutely take that all day. Time for the social. Yes, welcome to The Social. A look across the world of social media through the eyes of a Chelsea fan from the past couple of days. And obviously today is all about players that have played for both Chelsea and Everton, in the company of a man that's done it better than anyone else, of course, beside us. Two-time Player of the Year, absolute legend up in Everton as well. So we're going to start with show and tell. I'm going to save yours till last, Pat, because I've not told you this, but you've picked a Pat Nevin goal to talk about.
Obviously.
We've conducted this without you. So, Sam, you can start with your first goal.
Okay.
Had to be big Lukaku, didn't it?
This is a good goal. This is a good goal from Lukaku. The touch, and then the fact that he took it without any strides as well. I can't strike it like that without, running onto the ball and hitting it top bins. So that is a quality finish. Pat could probably do that.
There's no backlift. No, I didn't have powerful enough. It's the lack of backlift.
Yeah, it's a great goal.
To get it top bins as well, that's a quality finish.
Average a goal every 2 games at Everton. Obviously signed for Chelsea in the summer. Starts his Chelsea career like that. Brilliant start. You can vote for your favourite in the comments on the Fifth Stand down below. 2 more goals. The next one that I've gone for is a player that I don't think gets enough credit. Graham Stewart. Really, really good footballer. Obviously come through the academy here at Chelsea. We see this goal against Arsenal. And it's a good header. It's a brave header. Really brave header. You see enough of him. And he's not the tallest. I mean, you see Dennis Wise there with him, so you can tell he's not the tallest player. But it's a really strong, brave header. Done really well at both Chelsea and Everton. The final goal, all you, Pat. Talk me through this, mate.
Yeah, I was waiting to see which one you'd chosen. Yeah, this is Manchester City. Big one for the club.
That's a finish.
It was all right. I had to make sure our fans didn't come on. Failed miserably. About 400 got on there. But, if you're going to make sure the keeper's not going to save it, you have to put it in off the post, But it was a big moment for Chelsea Football Club because that was live on BBC TV on a Friday night. There must have been 20 million, 25 million. And that was our announcement to say, we're back. Absolutely. And within a few months, we were back in the top division. We won that league, and suddenly it was a bit special again.
Fantastic work, mate. I'm not even going to ask for a vote, so you've definitely won today, Pat. Absolutely, mate. Yeah, get your votes in below. Right now, though, it's something very, very special. We're very excited about this. Something that's coming to cinemas on Boxing Day. Have a look at this.
The Kingsman Agency. Refined but brutal.
Welcome to the club.
Time to dance. The Kingsman.
To say that we are going to be joined by a very special guest on the show. You may have seen all the branding across social media over the last couple of hours and the last couple of days on Chelsea's Instagram and Twitter account to do with The Kingsman, the new film, which is the prequel to Kingsman, which is out in cinemas on Boxing Day. I've already got my tickets, not going to lie. on the Monday. Chelsea are playing on the 5:30 on Villa, aren't they, on Boxing Day? So you could always nip in early, get the lunchtime showings of that film, and then, or even go the day after. But we've been talking about this off air. Very, very big fans of this, Sam. So we're very excited about this.
Yeah, this is one of my favourite films to ever come out. And it's annoying because I want to go see it, but it's on my birthday as well, so I've got plans. Yeah.
Oh, mate.
No, but I'm
day
definitely
after.
going to watch it. Yeah, I'm going to watch it.
Apparently it lasts more than a day.
We're
okay.
You know, but you know the premiere is special, and I genuinely want to see it first. But yeah, I love the Kingsman.
Yeah, really, really excited. It's one of those films as well, Pat. And again, the branding has looked great all day with all the suits and everything like that. And it's have you seen the films? The films are really good.
Yeah, I've seen both of the films, and I'll not go all Mark Commode on you yet. But certainly the first one was absolutely utter genius, total genius, because it came out of nowhere. And that's one of the things about St Matthew's films, because I'm trying to think. There was... oh, no, you carry on.
Well, you just mentioned the word genius, and I wanted to take that opportunity to bring in the genius himself, the man behind the film, not just a Hollywood director, actor, writer, but also a massive Chelsea fan as well. Matthew Vaughn, welcome to the show.
Hello.
How are you, sir? You well?
Well, I'm happy I'm talking to you guys. I've been promoting this movie for the last 5 days around the world. I get asked the same question a million times, but... Look, I'm not a football expert, but I love it. So to talk to some people who do things which I wish I could do, this is very exciting for me.
Well, I was going to ask you that because obviously we've got Pat Nevin in the studio, a man that I'm sure you've been aware of through your Chelsea journey.
I have a story about Pat, which it's a good one because it was I wasn't there, but all my friends who got me into being a Chelsea fan were in the shed one day where, let's say, I don't know what, am I allowed to swear? Probably not.
No.
And let's just say there were some racist DICKSs, and apparently you did a Cantona and went into the shed and sorted some people out. Yeah. And so, well done,
I love that.
Well, you spoke about it in your book as well, how much of a big part you've played in that, Pat. And again, that's really nice to hear the stories because Matthew, we're lucky that we get to see and speak to Pat quite a lot, but he does have a big effect on football growing up. So that's obviously one great Chelsea memory you've got. Have you got any more times at the Bridge where you've come and you've really fallen in love with it?
One of my favourite Chelsea memories was going to Man U, and I was invited to sit in the box with the Man U lot, and it was when Hasselblank scored. And I just couldn't behave, should we say. And they kicked me out and they put me with the Chelsea fans, thinking they were punishing me. You know, it was the best day of my life when we beat them. So that was one of my favourite moments. And I'm married to a German, and it's been my biggest fear. My son being a Bayern Munich fan, and thank God we beat them in the final in the Champions League. So that was another good memory.
That brings me nicely onto that, because I was going to ask you about that. The big thing that we've been asking everyone now, every Chelsea fan, they've got their own little story about it, where you've watched 1 or 2 Champions League finals, because I'm hoping that you've not had to sort of sneak off on set somehow to try and watch penalties at some point or anything like that. Have you managed to find time in your busy schedule to watch big games like that?
Yeah, no, it sounds prima donna-ish, but the only rider I have in my contract, since that is in my life, is the reason I love sport and football is... You know, if I watch movies or TV, I'm competitive with it and either want to be better than them or you know, my mind's in work mode. But football, I really switch off and just get lost in it. So I'm up front. I look at the schedule and I make sure that the big matches I'm free. And I've got a lot of Chelsea fans in my camp, so I look like I'm being a lovely boss, but it's quite selfish, really.
Not at all. That's one of the perks of being the boss, isn't it, Pat?
Absolutely. One of the things, we'll talk about Kingsman. First of all, it was a brilliant movie, as we say, the first one. Absolutely loved it. Second one, didn't drop the ball at all, which is always a trick, isn't it? You don't want to drop the ball with the second one where you've had such a success with the first one. But I think it's a genius idea to do the prequel. The prequel is... We're in there. We're with you immediately because the characters were so good in the first one. You think, yeah, where did he come from?
Yeah.
Well, yes, thank you. I mean, yeah, we did it because we wanted to try something different. We're doing a Kingsman 3 next year when Eggsy and Harry are doing their final farewell, shall we say. So, but it's, yeah, we shot this 3 years ago because of the pandemic, so it's odd, you know, being sitting around waiting for this long for it to come out.
I was going to ask you as well, because I know that early on in your career you worked with Vinnie Jones, course, obviously former Chelsea player as well. We've got quite a lot of characters in the dressing room now. Are there any players that you're eyeing up for a future Hollywood role to cast in a film?
Well, I'm so obsessed with Kanté that I'd put him in anything. I just think the guy is 5 men in one. Do you know what? It's odd, because when we put Vinny in Lock Stock, that happened purely because when we were writing the script with Guy, he said it's got to be someone who looks and sounds like Vinny Jones. And we couldn't get any actor to say yes. And so Vinny obviously did say yes. And I was with Vinny last week. He's still on good form, loves Chelsea. We talk about Chelsea. He was the guy that got me my season tickets when I couldn't get them years and years back. So, yeah, it's a special time. I think, the whole... And I met Dennis Wise because of Vinny, who is another hero of mine. So when I met him, I was like, wow. So, who knows? Who would you put forward? If I had to cast someone from Chelsea, who would you say I should cast?
I think Tony Rudiger. I think Tony Rudiger will be up for it. Yeah, he's got a bit about him.
He has to stay. If he stays, I'll give him a part.
I have to say, I think if you're looking for an assassin, Ivanovic. Get Ivanovic out of retirement. He doesn't even say anything. He just needs to look at you.
Matthew, thank you so much for your time. I don't want to take too much of your time, and obviously I know that you want to watch the game. Thank you so much for that. Very quickly and very finally, have you got a score prediction for us tonight?
2 or 3-1, I think.
Lovely job.
Before he says goodbye, could I say thank you for Kick-Ass? One of the great movies ever. I loved it to bits.
Well, thank you for being part of Chelsea.
Matthew, thank you so much for your time. Genuinely, me and Sam have been obsessing about this all day because we're both going to see the film over Christmas. Sam's got to work it in because it's birthday on Boxing Day, but we'll definitely go and see it. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the game tonight, and hopefully we'll see you throughout the season as well. Thank you very much. Brilliant, Matthew Vaughn there. And, of course, cinema in cinemas on Boxing Day. Go and check out The King's Man.
Corruption, greed, war.
The world is full of terrible people.
Any ideas? Come on. While governments talk, our people
Protect life. Very clever.
it is time to become rogues.
Let's end this as gentlemen.
You haven't even offered me a drink.
The King's Man.
What a brilliant start to the show, eh, boys? What a lovely man, what a legend.
And they can say the phrase, I'm married to a German, and not mention who that German is. Possibly the most beautiful woman in the world, but it's a German girl.
What a lovely, lovely man. Genuinely, what a pleasure to have Matthew on the show. Really cool. Right, now time for trending topics. And obviously, all this week has been about, I suppose, the Champions League, really. There's been a number of things that have happened. A number of draws that have happened as well. It was a moment, wasn't it, Sam? But Chelsea have drawn Lille in the Champions League.
Yeah, twice. That was... it was so funny, because I was tweeting throughout that whole thing, and I was just like, oh, you know what? I would have rather Bayern Munich or Real Madrid the first round. And then when it came back, I was like, oh, gosh, I shouldn't have tweeted that. And then we got them again, and I was like, yes. To be fair, we spoke about it the last week. We said in the Champions League, you face anyone, it's the Champions League, anything can happen. But obviously there's games you go into where you're the favourites and you feel more confident going into. And the fact that we were able to get Lille again, it's just, it's really good.
I gave you the opportunity there to say that you'd use this meme, but I think I was going to say maybe a better than that, but what a perfect excuse for it. What a perfect excuse to use that. To be fair as well, Pat, we've been unlucky with injuries the last couple of weeks. It was quite a difficult group draw as well. Juventus and Zenit are a decent side as well, so it's quite nice to have a little bit of luck in the next round. We say that. Lille are obviously an excellent side, but not as good as they were last season. The drop-off has been fair.
I mean, we cannot argue with it. It's in our hands against a team if we play our best. The thing is, you don't know what you're going to be like. It's a month or two away, and you don't know who's going to be fit, who's going to be injured, what situation's going to be. So what you want, if at all possible, is a slightly lighter draw, and it is a slightly lighter draw than we could have had. It could have been PSG was obviously a possibility, wasn't it?
No, because we finished second, Bayern Munich. Couldn't play Bayern Munich.
So you're thinking to yourself, could do without that. So we got the one we wanted, so we're absolutely delighted with that. I'm looking at it now thinking, it's parked, and if we get ourselves with a team that's as strong as tonight, we would probably be comfortable with that. But really, really happy with it. Exactly who we wanted. Let's move on.
Absolutely right. And I've got a bit more reaction then from the social media as well on this one. It's Chelsea dodged Bayern Munich and Real Madrid in the Chelsea last 16 draw. That's excellent. That is. What a great tweet that is. I'm a little happy right now. Clever, Raf. Clever. A great UCL draw for Chelsea. I really like that one. And this one as well here. Eden Hazard and Joe Cole celebrating a goal for Lille in 2011. Can easily forget these two Chelsea legends once played together. You can, can't you?
I remember that as well.
Isn't it? And this is Joe Cole as well. Obviously, we love Joe Cole to pieces. What a legend of the game, but not just a legend in Chelsea, in football in general. I'm just happy that Chelsea is still playing Lille, so I get my trip to France. Go to see a few friends, Joe. Yeah. Well played. Get your priorities right, eh, Sam?
Exactly. But it was really interesting because I know that during that period, I'm sure people messaged you as well, like, you're not going to get Lille again, you're going to get the Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, and they're flying right now. So like Pat said, it's just the fact that we can go into that game knowing that we're going to be the favourites. We would have been anyway because we're the champions anyway. So it's just a bit of a confidence boost.
Absolutely right. And obviously elsewhere in the Champions League, Chelsea playing Wolfsburg tonight. Emma Hayes' side, Kingsman. It's good. Big game. Wolfsburg and Chelsea have got a big history in the Women's Champions League, and hopefully an easier run than it has been in the past tonight.
Well, Wolfsburg have got great history. I mean, in women's football, they're a fantastic team. It will be really tough. There's been a few difficult games recently for the women's team. There looked like a little period, I think, just before the Man City game, where we were absolutely hammering everything in our way. And then it's got a little bit more difficult, and there's been a few up and downs and surprise defeat. But to be fair, we were the better team on the day for that. So, this is one that just what you said. If you're going to win the Champions League, it doesn't matter if it's the men's or the women's Champions League. You've got to beat the best and some of the very best on the way. Wolfsburg are that, but I have to say, when I'm watching the game tonight, I'll be having the phone open. I'll be looking at it, definitely.
Absolutely right. We're going to keep you up to date, obviously, with all the latest updates. And this is I've had to write this down because it can get a little bit complicated. So if we avoid defeat for Chelsea Wolfsburg, then we qualify for the next round. If we don't, it gets a little bit complicated, a little bit complex. So let's just hope we don't, and then we'll worry about that later. It's absolutely fine. It's a good time to be a Chelsea fan, though, in terms of that, Sam. It's a good draw against Lille. We've got a lot of games to play. We've got the Club World Cup coming up as well. But Chelsea want to be competing in the elite competitions. That's what makes Chelsea Chelsea, is playing at the tail end of big competitions. Yeah,
exactly. And it's just exciting as a Chelsea fan, knowing the squad depth that we have, the players that we have, and the football that we're playing as well. We play exciting football, we defend well. So going into all these competitions, we're going to feel confident. And the fact that we've got this period now and certain players are coming back from injuries, it just seems like a good time to be a Chelsea fan and believe in the team.
And just one finally as well, the under-19s drew Genk for a place in knockout football as well, which, again, like we're talking about there, Chelsea have got a rich history in the UEFA Youth League and tend to do very, very well in competitions at that level. So it's another expectation for the club.
Exactly. And, you want to win all these competitions. You will do the best to win them. But we always remember, in the midst of it all, the 19s is about producing players. And we produce players through, and I always keep this in people's minds, celebrate it, love it, push, learn to be winners. But get players through to the first team. When I say the first team, what our youth development's like, get players through to every first team in the league, because there was a great stat the other day that 41% of the goals scored by players 22 or under in this year's Premier League have been scored by players through Cobham. That's just ridiculous. So we talk about the great players coming through in English football. Well, nearly half of them are coming out of Cobham. It's extraordinary.
Even last night, Armando Broja scoring for Southampton as well. That figure keeps rising, doesn't it? Right, time to get a little bit of a word in the Everton camp. Behind enemy lines today with sports broadcaster, radio presenter, brilliant guy, Rich Wolfenden.
All right, I'm Rich Wolfenden, radio presenter, football commentator, and Everton's Matchday presenter, live from Goodison Park for every home game. OK, so Everton season in 30 seconds. Got off to a pretty good start, to be fair. I think we were pushing the European places. We were up and around 4th, 5th to begin the season. Then we got injuries. Decore got injured, Calvert-Lewin got injured, Richarlison got injured. And then we were left to the bare bones. So we've struggled of late, lost on penalties to QPR in the Carabao Cup second round. Beat Arsenal at home the other day, though, so I think that's one win in maybe 9. Not great. So, bright spots of the season. There's been a few. We beat Brighton away, which was quite an impressive result because not many teams have managed to get one over Brighton so far. We beat Arsenal a couple of weeks ago. Night game, Goodison, under the lights. Tamari Gray with a 91st minute screamer from 25 yards in off the post. Stunning goal. That's probably the highlight, to be honest, and that's it. So, this isn't even a question, it just says Rafa Benitez, explain. I'll try my best. When Benitez went to Chelsea, you may well remember there was lots of controversy around that. Imagine that, times by 10. Former Liverpool manager, managing Everton. It's been difficult to stomach, especially now that results have started to turn. We've already seen our director of football leave because of performances on the pitch, but a lot of fans attribute it to Rafa. It started well, but now this could be one of his final games. What would be a positive season for Everton now? I think something positive would be to just have some stability. Just see, maybe a top half finish at the absolute best would be good. Because I think there's a lot better teams than Everton in the Premier League this season. Palace, Brighton, Wolves, they'll all probably finish ahead of Everton. But yeah, top half finish I'll take. And maybe some hope for next year, that would be nice. What am I expecting from tonight's game? I'm not expecting too much in terms of attacking threat from Everton. If Richarlison's fit, which it looks like he might not be, if Richarlison's fit, we'll have a chance. A very slim chance. Otherwise, it's going to be Salomon Rondon. And just like our performance against Crystal Palace the other day, I think we'll replicate that and you'll cut through us. Backs to the wall, try and get a draw. All right, so favourite Everton v Chelsea moments. The one that immediately jumps into my mind is Tim Cahill scoring a brilliant overhead volley at Stamford Bridge to rescue a draw. We've not really done that well at Stamford Bridge, but the other one which sticks out in my mind was Carabao Cup tie, and it went to penalties, and Everton won on penalties, which never happens. And to make it even more dramatic, Phil Neville scored the winner to knock Hughes out of that competition. But who knows, maybe tonight we can add something to that list.
Thank you to the brilliant Rich Wolfenden for that one. He's right, isn't he? It started well, and then it's kind of not gone so well fairly recently, Pat.
He's trying hard. And to be fair, he is being fairly fair. It was looking good up until a certain point. And that point for me was it Watford, 2-1 up, 14 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Capitulated, 5-2, and it's just been down since then. I don't blame Rafa. I really don't blame Rafa. With the small squad that he was presented with the injuries that he's presented with, you could get Jurgen Klopp, Thomas Tuchel to go alongside Pep, go in there, and he still won't get him in the top half of the table. There's not a good enough, big enough squad there, full stop. And they can blame Rafa all they like, but that's not the problem. They should have a better squad there. You can feel a wee bit of Evertonian coming out there. A wee bit annoyed about the fact that he's been left with such a pup. So it's a tough one for him tonight, but the big words that he said there were, keep our backs to the wall. And that sometimes does us, doesn't it? If a team gets really that far back and we have to try and break them down. United done that out here to us, Burnley to some degree done it to us. And that's something we need to fix. So we need to make sure that our centre forward tonight is really on it. And I am talking about Cesar Azpilicueta and Rudiger.
Lovely job. Time to look at the lighter side of things then, and in case you missed it. And Pat, this is one for you as well, because everyone loves a dad joke, don't they? The Hibs admin absolutely loving a dad joke. Who are we playing today? And then Motherwell. Yeah, she's great, thanks. That's good, isn't it? That's really good, isn't it?
That is good.
That's really nice. I enjoyed that one.
Having been chief executive of Motherwell, I've heard it before.
And you've also got a bit of a Hibs allegiance, haven't you, as well?
So my Scottish team.
So absolutely. This is a nice one as well. Have you ever attempted to get a suspension correctly, Pat?
Because quality.
This is amazing, Sam, isn't it? I mean, so Iago Aspas scores for Celta Vigo, gets injured while celebrating, knows he's on a 4th yellow card, so he takes his shirt off to get his 5th yellow card, 1 game ban, cleans his count, so when he returns from injury, he's not worried about suspension. Sam, that is living ahead of the game.
He must have been thinking about it during the game, like, I might have to get a yellow in this game. And the fact that he got injured, it's the fact that you saw him limping and then he was just taking it off. He's telling his players to just leave him alone while he does it. It's so funny, man.
To be honest, I've never done it, but the best one I've ever seen was JT. JT, he needed a last-minute injury out here for a game. I can't remember who it was against. Honestly, he was playing left wing, away trying to kick people. He was desperate to get this booking, and it's because he needed to get it at that point in time. It wasn't he wanted Christmas off. Yeah. Nothing got to do with that. And it was the funniest thing. The referee knew what he was doing. The referee's ignoring it. Honestly, it was a brilliant, brilliant laugh.
Boys, have you ever done a promise or kind of a guarantee that you'd regret? I think Ronnie Delia will definitely feeling that because
yeah.
after New York City FC won the MLS Cup, he pretty much stripped naked.
He loved it though. When I saw the video and he was really enjoying himself while he was taking off his clothes, and so were the fans. So if they won it, I guess it was something you have to just stick to, innit?
That's definitely come from the players, Pat, isn't it? Going, you did say it, Gaffer. You did say it. You do it, Gaffer.
You're not getting away with that. You make a promise. You make a promise. And we all do it in the game. We say silly things. I mean, I certainly made a mistake once. I was asked. I knew Bolton were trying to buy me when I was up at Tranmere, and I knew they were trying to buy me. So the manager called me to his office and he said, "Bolton, there's a team want to buy you." And I said, "I'm not interested." He said, "You're not want to know who it was?" And I said, "Oh yeah, who was that?" And he said, "Celtic." Oh God. I turned it down. So sometimes you say something you absolutely didn't feel as if you shouldn't have said, and that was my one that stuck with me.
I love that. And anything else as well that you've seen this week, Sam? It feels at the moment there's lots of festive memes and stuff going around. The Argo Aspas one for me is next level, because you see players that maybe do it to get Christmas off or something, or not that they do that, and unless you're a French in the French league and someone that mysteriously gets an injury when his sister's birthday is every year, that doesn't happen.
That is, I think that is out of order that they keep on putting out him. But something that I do remember though was when I think Luis got injured and then Jose came into the press conference and he was like, "Oh, he just wanted time off." I remember that so clearly. That was so funny, man.
It's clear, it doesn't happen though, Pat, does it? Players that aren't that aware of it, they don't do it for Christmas and stuff off.
They used to. I can tell you, I know plenty of it. And sometimes it's not just Christmas. There was just certain little periods they just thought, "No, I want a little bit of time away here," and they would do it and just throw in a really stupid one. But Christmas was the thing in England. New Year was the time in Scotland. You know what it's like in Scotland. We want our Hogmanay, we want to have a few. And there was always a New Year's Day game, so I knew a few up in Scotland that would thought, nah, I'll kick somebody in Christmas. Boxing Day, that was the day to kick somebody.
Just as well for Pat, it didn't clash with Glastonbury, otherwise it'd have been doing it, I'm telling you, absolutely. Time to hand over to Jason and Ben for the warm-up.
Trivago brings the world of travel and football together to offer experiences that are epic for Blues fans. Every month they've been giving you guys the opportunity to win incredible prizes, and this week you've got the chance to be one of 22 winners to win tickets to our upcoming matches against Brighton at the end of December and Liverpool first game of 2022. There's a combination of VIP hospitality tickets and general admission tickets, so if you want to win yourself and a +1, a last-minute Christmas present, then enter now to win. The competition is open till midnight, Sunday the 19th of December, and you can enter by signing up at chelseafc.com/Trivago competition. Fans must be 18 years old and over. Terms and conditions, as they say, apply. Welcome to the bridge, folks. Jason Cundy and Ben Andrews up here on the gantry for the warm-up. Everton's players largely out, but as you can see, a few still to come out. The Chelsea players are already out and doing their thing. We're hoping, Mr. Cundy, they're not dropping like flies just yet.
Fingers crossed. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Benjamin. Let's try and avoid for the next 5 or 10 minutes, if we can, the COVID conversations. Both teams clearly have been hit in various different ways. You can tell by the team selection. This is nowhere near both teams' strongest teams at all, but unfortunately we live in very strange times, and these times will suggest that you've just got to try and sometimes get on with what you have got. I think Everton, it's fair to say, because of the squad depth or lack of, certainly in times when a number of 3 or 4 players go in key areas, Ben, you really do start to feel the pinch, and their team today will tell you a little bit more about that than ours. Having said that, up front we've been hit hard. You know, the 3 front men that you would look at immediately, if you had to pick any one of those 3, you would have started at least 1, possibly 2 of either Kai Havertz, Romelu Lukaku and Werner, and all 3 are missing.
They are, that is absolutely true. What you might say is against a weakened side who are obviously a big underdog, important to not give them something like, I don't know, getting in 0-0 at half-time. So our first of our 3 points for 3 points, Jason, go all out early, right? They're already thinking, oh God, we're going away to Chelsea. Then they get decimated. hit them hard from the off, right? And just make sure you don't give them anything to cling to. Or is that wrong?
Well, you will never hear me say, no, let's not start fast. I will always say, do you know what, Ben?
No, but they're going to say a game like Man City, for instance. You might say, let's just keep calm and have a look at what they're doing.
I think what also you've got to try and consider is, what are they going to do here today? Are they going to allow us, really? I think patience. Sometimes you've got to come up against games and you've got to look at the opposition, thinking what they're on the back of, where are they going? The manager's clearly under pressure, both I would have thought externally and internally right now. Do you know what? If it is 0-0 after 20 minutes, that's probably where Rafa wants to be after 20 minutes. 0-0, if he can get to 0-0. So do you know what, Ben? I would say, yeah, if you can make an early start, absolutely, but don't let that be the be-all and the end-all. If you have to be patient and bide your time, don't start forcing passes that aren't necessarily on. We don't know how they're going to line up. They could go 5-4-1. They could go 4-4-1-1. They could go 5-5. You don't know what they're going to do in the middle of the park. Oh, yeah, okay, fair. But, do you know the point I'm making here? They might try and do something very, very different that we're not expecting. Who knows what's going to happen? But patience might be a virtue today.
Well, that brings me to our second of the 3 points for 3 points. In terms of their shape, they could easily play John Joe Kenny and Holgate, or even Godfrey, who we've seen at wing-back. Now, Reece James on that right for Chelsea, I thought a real feature, interestingly, in that game the other day, was how much he was coming through central midfield. Maybe that's because teams have been starting to double up on him, because he's become a more prominent player, I think, do you know what I mean, in Premier League world this season, and therefore his danger is seemingly more known about, and opposition have been doubling up on him and things, and maybe they will. How do you keep him in the game?
Well, going back to the point that we just spoke about, is that if you're playing against Chelsea right now, one of the areas, let's say Chilwell is fit, the two areas you're looking to really stop Chelsea playing are the wing-backs. It was interesting that Shackleton played a man-to-man role against Alonso at the weekend for Leeds. So they clearly felt that if we can keep Alonso quiet and then maybe have an extra man on Reece's side, then we're doing a very good job in stopping them going forward. You can't do one-to-one with Reece, he's too good. Marcus, maybe. So I think that in terms of our wing-backs, in particular with Reece, we might find that Reece doesn't get the sort of space he wants to operate in. There might be moments in the game, he might have to come inside, and there might be a transition of possession, there might be an opportunity where a mistake is made, a brilliant pass, maybe a piece of individual skill. If we can get Reece, the more we get Reece involved in any game, the more attacking we are and the more dangerous we look. And if we know that, Ben, the chances are Rafa and his scouting team know that as well.
Yeah, well, he does love to do his homework, Rafa. He's often more obsessed with what the Oppo are going to do actually than what his own side are going to do. That's something I remember from the time with him at Cobham, actually, a few years ago now. Set pieces. He will hate that, but they have been very poor recently. They've conceded 4 goals in the last 8 games from set plays, and funnily enough, it was one of the only things that Ancelotti had sorted out while he was there. They hardly ever had one of the best records in the league about conceding from set plays. But we know, because of how many times Thiago Silva, Tony Rudiger, etc., Trevor Chalobah are popping up, that might be an area to exploit if they are managing to do their defensive job and nullify it from open play.
Set pieces are always one of those opportunities. You can have a Premier League side playing against a conference side, and a corner presents a problem for the Premier League side if the conference side is attacking. It could be just a pinpoint cross. It could be a lapse in concentration just momentarily. It could be a mistake. It could be a really good run. All of the above. But once you start to become vulnerable to those type of scenarios, teams start to prey on that. Teams start to say, no, this is an area we can really work on. Maybe Chelsea have gone into this game looking at Everton's issues defensively on set pieces and feeling as though that is an area in a tight game, which I'm anticipating, Ben. I mean, you and I spoke earlier, slightly flippantly. We're saying, it could be 4, could be 5. I'm expecting a 2 or 3-0 here today, right? But you know what, Ben? If it is half-time 0-0, it wouldn't surprise me. We've not been fabulous of late, You know, we've not been ripping up those trees. We have a you look up top right now, it isn't quite the team that we would expect. I think patience may well be it depends when the first goal comes, Ben, of course it does. But set pieces, it could be the difference between 3 points and 1 point.
Everton fans, as usual, getting their full support behind their side. That's not a very nice thing to come out and see, I wouldn't have thought, if you're Rafa. Anyway, Mason Mount is Chelsea's top scorer this season. Not a lot of people know that, as someone once said, with 6 goals. Jason Cundy has been taking a deeper look at him.
OK, let's talk about Mason Mount. Hasn't really reached yet the heights that he has over the last couple of seasons, and of course, to be involved in the Ballon d'Or, but there's no question he's starting to get back to those heights that he has achieved, not just with club, but also country as well. Arguably his best performance of the season so far, certainly in goals, was against Norwich. This is the first of the 3, but it wasn't just the goals he scored, he had a big say in the assists as well. Brilliant finish from his mate James, but what a finish that is as well. So now he's scoring goals, his assists as well need to be up, and that I think is part of what we need to see more and more, and they're going to come, no question about that. Not just goals scored, but assists. But since he's been back, he's had a big impact on this team, scoring big goals, the first in that game against Watford. Having an assist as well, cutting this back for the winner for Ziyech. And he's now starting to have an impact on the games that we really have missed him in. This is a brilliant finish. Not an easy finish by any stretch of the imagination. Make good contact, get it goal bound, but make sure you've got enough power on it to beat the goalkeeper. And then since that time that he's been away with England, a number of players have not quite delivered to the heights they have. But now Mason Mount is starting to get back to the levels that not only we know he can for club, but also hopefully for country soon as well.
Yeah, there you go. 6 goals. And 3 of them very recently in the last 4 games, Jason. Banging form, and obviously there is so much more to his game than goals. We have often said, once he starts getting double figures per season, he will actually be, well, probably the perfect attack-minded midfielder in the world.
Yeah, there's I think the most exciting thing I can say about Mason is that there's so much more to come. You know, we're seeing glimpses of it now, aren't we? Assists and goals scored, and that's where he will be ultimately judged, I guess, by other people, not necessarily by performances, in individual games. But when you look back over a player, certainly over a season, you look at the numbers, and you want to see those numbers start to rack up, and I think over the next 2 to 3 seasons, we will start to see Mason Mount really developing into a fine midfielder. Attacking-wise, defensively, he does his job, but attacking-wise, assists and goals, that's when you'll look at and go, oh, look at those numbers, look at that. Don't necessarily have to see every single game. We know how good he can be, and we know that Chelsea's best 11 has Mason Mount in it, right? I think most Chelsea fans will say that, but now the numbers need to start racking up.
I mean, the lad's only started 12... Clive Walker's put his thumb up and says definitely. He's only started 12 matches this season. He's scored 6 times. Now, I just want to analyse one more goal here, Jason, while we've got you. I'm going to take you back to New Year's Day, 1991. Gareth Hall is going to get chucked under the bus here. That's Pat Nevin, number 7 for Everton. Gareth Hall's messed that up. There's Cundy in the middle. There's Nevin, Cundy, own goal. Everton scoring. And by the way, folks, 2-1 Everton winner. That was the winner.
Why have you done that to me?
At Stamford Bridge for Everton. Nevin off Cundy, own goal.
Why have you done that to me? Why have you done that?
You want to give us a bit of analysis on this?
Can I see it again?
Well, we could try and roll it again
Can I
for
see
you.
it again?
Come on, let's have a look.
I don't know what Gareth...
Nevin lays it off, makes his run.
It's a poor clearance there from Gareth Hall. It's pulled back in. Cundy trying to cover the near post. Patch just dinked it across. The poor lad Cundy there. He's heading towards his own goal. No fault to him at all whatsoever. I blame Gareth Hall.
Yeah. Where's your left foot? Where was your left foot?
My what? My what?
He's got no left foot.
Honestly,
no left foot.
Oh, that was an absolute. I remember
one more look, folks, because we've got Pat Nevin and Jason Cundy with us, and this one just
brutal.
It was 1-1 at this stage, and Cundy's own goal wins it for Everton at the Bridge. So he's already not got engaged for that header. He's come off Gareth Hall. Nevin cuts it back. Left foot, Cundy clear it. No, I'll go with my right.
I can't believe. To be fair, that's not difficult though. Even with my right,
No.
it's not difficult. I mean, I've got Clive here shouting could have been. That's not difficult, Walks. That's not difficult with my right foot, is it?
No.
You made it hard for yourself.
Yes, he's made it.
I can't believe that.
There you go.
Years later, I'm still taking abuse.
New Year's Day, folks, 1991.
Oh, God, oh,
Coming up for 31 years ago, and he's still got no left foot now.
I tell you what, the way you're going, you're going to find out.
Right, on that bombshell, folks, back to you.
Stand by. Brilliant work, Pat. Pat. It's a lovely little chip, mate, across goal.
That was a nice dink.
Do you know what? I found out something about that I didn't know, and I don't know if I should tell you.
Go on.
Because I scored against Chelsea once down at the shed end, down the other end, and didn't celebrate. You're all watching Jason there. I'm watching me.
You celebrated.
I celebrated. I
You
can't
did.
believe
It
it.
is
You
the
did.
winner.
I did. I can't believe it.
It
I
is the
just-
winner, and you didn't score.
And it was in front of the Everton fans who were there, right there. That was right up there.
I mean, firstly,
this is
the
upsetting.
little knockback and the spin inside, acres of space, brilliant.
Movement as well, though.
But no,
That's quality movement.
none of this I care about. I never thought I did that.
I'm going to have a look.
Because, like, the ball's in, but I'm right in front of the Everton fans, and, you know, I'm kind of aiming for Jason, really.
Oh, it's one arm.
No,
it's
wait a
a
minute.
muted.
No, there's
Oh, it's two arm.
There's more.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
I know, that's horrible.
It's like watching a two-footed challenge in slow motion. It gets worse. The
It
second
does.
one.
I'm absolutely devastated by that. I have no memory of that whatsoever.
Mate,
It
you're a
just shows you
competitor.
get,
We'll
oh,
allow
you
it.
shows you get lost in it.
We'll
You get lost in it.
absolutely allow it, mate. You're more than welcome to that. It's
By
a
the way,
great goal.
had it been down the other end in front of the shed end, no. No, it wouldn't happen. You can't do that. But that was up right in front of the Everton fans at the time.
Absolutely right, mate. No, it's fine. That's fine. We'll allow that. We'll allow
Go
that. More social media reaction coming in, of course, ahead of Chelsea-Everton this afternoon. It's a fluid front three. Yep, be good for Pulisic to get a run in the team if he stays fit. It's absolutely right from Nicholas. And big game for Pulisic. Even if he wants, if he wants even more consistent playing time, he has to deliver in these situations. Looks like CP10 with false 9 again. Still waiting to see him on the wing with Lukaku at 9. So yeah, it's a good point. It's a really good point, Christian Pulisic. And then you've got Jorginho. He's making his 100th Premier League start for Chelsea tonight, which is good for the captain. You know, good work for the skipper. Good work for the skipper. The Pulisic chat is interesting, Sam, because we know how good Christian Pulisic can be.
Yeah.
We know how good he can be. He's genuinely unplayable on his day. Really, really is. But you really want Christian to get a run in the team, don't you? You really want him to be afforded that time to get back to his very, very peak, because we know how good he can be. But I suppose nights like tonight, where he's been asked to do a different role, the manager will rate that potentially even higher than when he's playing in a normal position or in his normal, more favoured position, because he'll have to do something different. So maybe he stands out a little bit more and you see how hard he's working.
Yeah, and like we've said, he's been unfortunate at his time at Chelsea because of the injuries, and he's so young as well. We forget that the age he is at, the limelight that is on him constantly, and with the competition that he has in the position that he's playing in as well. But we've seen, like Pat said earlier, we've seen Loftus-Cheek take his chance. We've seen Callum Hudson-Odoi take his chance. We've seen other players that have been in other positions that haven't necessarily been solid starters, but they've been given the opportunity, and Tuchel, he rewards you for that. So I think if he's confident, and we know how he plays when he's confident, then he'll be all good.
Completely agree. And also there is that added thing of Christian Pulisic, and you know, if you listen to Chelsea Mic'd Up, if you don't, it's an amazing podcast. Lee Parker, Brandon London, loads of other guests, always have really cool guests on every single week. Christian Pulisic is such a big deal in America. He's he is the guy. He's the guy. He's the poster boy for American football. There's so much pressure on him. There's so much weight of expectation every single time he laces a pair of boots, Pat. And it's just, like Sam said, he's such a young player still. He's got to deal with all of that and more.
Yeah, well, we're having a movie-themed show today, so he is Captain America.
He is
what is considered over there. Now, to be honest, we're in a very, very special time for American football, American soccer at the moment, right? Because there are a lot of brilliant young players coming through, and it does look now, finally, after saying it for about 3 decades, it's going to happen now. You're going to get a real top American team, our US national team, probably the next 4 or 5 years, because the quality is there at a low level, but he's the lead. He's the main man. He's at the point of it as well. So the expectation is gigantic over there. And I've got a lot of friends. A friend called Heather O'Reilly played more than 100 games for the US national team before she retired. And she just said, you cannot believe what it's like over there for him. It's like walking in the streets is weird because anybody who knows anything about football, he is absolutely the man. But when he's not going to game for Chelsea, how frustrating must that be? It's really, really hard for him. The thing is, they know his capabilities. We know his capabilities. He's just having to do it in the toughest league in the world at the moment, against a lot of, and not just good defenders or good players and well-organised teams. He's got a good lot of competition in this team, and that's the problem for him. He needs a run, and hopefully this is the start of a run.
You see the love and adoration on social media every time he touches the ball, every time he gets in the starting 11 for Christian. There's so much goodwill and gesture, and also from reports from within the club, and again, people that we speak to, and we get very fortunate to get that access. But he is a lovely, lovely person to have around the dressing room. He's so committed, but he's also, like Pat's already alluded to there, there's so much pressure on him that he has to be a big character to take that on.
Yeah.
So there's so much required of him for him to maintain his kind of humble approach and be a lovely person off the pitch, and someone that Chelsea only really buy nice people and only want nice people within the football club. It's part of that family culture that we've kind of built. There's so much that's expected of him, as is every player, of course. But when he does get these opportunities tonight, it feels a little bit harsh on our perspective to go, right, we expect him to be at that level straight away, because that's not how football works. You need time, don't you? And he needs a run more than anything else.
Yeah, and we just want him to do well, and he's definitely one of those players, similar to Werner, when they're playing, you always see that hard work, the determination, like when he misses an opportunity, the frustration. And those type of players, you just want to do well because, like you said, humble. When he speaks about the club, when he speaks about it in public, he's so well-spoken, he's so humble. And you just want those type of players to do well. And hopefully he can, like, get past those injuries. And I think when we've seen glimpses of him this season, it seems like he's getting back to his best. But like we said, the competition is at such a high level, so hopefully he takes his opportunity. Completely
right. And he's one of those players as well, Pat, isn't he, that he's so exciting when he gets on the ball. You can't learn that. That's natural ability. You had it in abundance. Eden Hazard's got it. Mason Mount's got it. There's so many players at this football club now that has it. Callum Hudson-Odoi is another one. But when they get on the ball, they are the player. As a fan, you go, something exciting's going to happen now.
Absolutely. We've got one or two of them, but certainly he's one of them. Because he can go by players, usually with pure pace, but often with a trick as well. He's got a couple of really particular tricks, and one of them is he lays his body in a certain way and he takes a hit. And you think, well, is that a skill? Yeah, they're getting booked. And if they're getting booked, they then back off. And that's the concept. You're saying, right, OK, you come close to me and I trick and I'm past you. You wipe me out. Now I've basically got you where I want you. And he does it quite a lot. The problem with him recently has been he's maybe kind of on a sub. He's doing that late on, but there's no time to really make great use of that because he can't make a run at them. And 2 or 3 players are lumping away at him. So he's got to start tonight. So if you've got one of the centre-backs comes out and takes you out, OK, stick on him, stay on, work him constantly because he won't be able to have a go at you. And certainly when you get in the box, they won't have a go at you. So I know he does that. I think he can make use of it when he starts.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Boys, brilliant as always. Thank you very much for joining us for the pre-match show. It's now time for kick-off in the company of Jason Cundy and Ben Andrews.